Is this Mar-a-Lago? Hell yeah, baby.
Well, thank you very much, Melania, myself, and our entire family. I want to thank you all for being here tonight. It's a very special occasion at a very special place. You and all of those watching are the heart and soul of this incredible movement and the greatest country in the history.
You know that room smells
Very
like
simple.
death, okay? You
There's
know
never
that
been
room smells
anything
like death and the
like
worst
it.
old kind of cologne
This
you
great
could
movement of
imagine.
ours. Never been anything like it, and perhaps there will never be anything like it again. There's never been anything to compete with what we have all done. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and my fellow citizens, America's comeback starts right now.
Draco Noir and sulfur.
2 years ago, when I left office, the United States stood ready for its golden age. Our nation was at the pinnacle of power, prosperity, and prestige, towering above all rivals, vanquishing all enemies, and striding into the future, confident and so strong. In 4 short years, everybody was doing great. Men, women, African Americans, Asian Americans, Hispanic Americans, everybody was thriving like never before. There was never a time like this. We turned the page on decades of globalist sellouts and one-sided trade deals, lifted millions out of poverty, and together we built the greatest economy in the history of the world.
Believe me.
When the virus hit our shores, I took decisive action and saved lives and the U.S. economy. And by October of the same year, America was roaring back with the #1 fastest economic recovery ever recorded. How about that? All of the incoming administration and all they had to do was just sit back and watch. Inflation was non-existent. Our southern border was by far the strongest ever. And because the border was so tight, drugs were coming into our country at the lowest level in many, many years. Importantly, after decades of rising energy costs, the United States had finally attained the impossible dream of American energy independence, which soon would have turned into energy dominance. For the first time in memory, China was reeling and back on its heels. You've never seen that before, because the United States was outdoing them on every single front, and China was paying billions and billions of dollars in taxes and tariffs. The farmers know that because they got 28 billion of it. No president had ever sought or received $1 for our country from China until I came along, and we were getting hundreds of billions of dollars. Many people think that because of this, China played a very active role in the 2020 election. Just saying, just saying.
Who? No one thinks
Sure, that didn't happen.
That's not even
Instead
a
of jobs and
conspiracy that
factories leaving
people
America
think.
for China,
He
they
just,
were for the
who
first
thinks
time
that?
ever
They say
leaving
like
China.
even Cuba and Che Guevara and shit, but I've never heard like people be like China.
Businesses were pouring back because of our historic tax
And they
and
think it now.
regulation cuts, the
You bet
biggest
your
in
ass
both
they think it now.
categories in history, bigger even than what Ronald Reagan was able to produce, and he produced a lot. China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea were in check and respected. They respected the United States, and quite honestly, they respected me. I knew them well. I knew them well. The vicious ISIS caliphate, which no president was able to conquer, was decimated by me and our great warriors in less than 3 weeks, and al-Baghdadi, its founder, was hunted down and killed. North Korea had not launched North Korea had not launched a single long-range missile since my summit with Chairman Kim Jong-un nearly 3 years before. We developed a relationship, and that's a good thing, not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Very good thing, actually, because look at what's happening today. My opponents made me out to be a warmonger and just a terrible person who would immediately go into war. They said during the 2016 campaign that if he becomes president...
Bro, you literally used the mother of all bombs like 3 days into your presidency.
Wars like you've never seen before.
And you assassinated a foreign head of state.
I've gone decades without
Why
a
are
war.
we...
The first
He
president
drone
to do
strike
it
more
for
than
that
Obama.
long a period. The world was at peace, America was prospering, and our country was on track for an amazing future because I made big promises to the American people.
Jealous?
And unlike other presidents,
Dude,
I
that's
kept
so good.
my promises. I kept them.
Facebook sent a memo to its fact checkers this afternoon telling them if Trump announces he's running for president tonight, they can no longer fact check anything he says. That's awesome. Dude, things are getting so cool. Dude, I'm running for president. No more fact checking, baby.
Thank you very much. Under our
Fuck
leadership,
is that?
we were a great and glorious nation, something you haven't heard for quite a long period
Shouldn't
of time.
you be fact checking him harder?
Nation,
Like, what
and
the fuck?
importantly, we were a free nation. But now we are a nation in decline. We are a failing nation. For millions of Americans, the past 2 years under Joe Biden have been a time of pain, hardship, anxiety, and despair. As we speak, inflation is the highest in over 50 years. Gas prices have reached the highest levels in history and expect them to go much higher now that the strategic national reserves, which I filled up, have been virtually drained in order to keep gasoline
He filled
prices
them up.
lower
Dude, he's
just
saying
prior to
he's
the
responsible
election.
for Biden being able to lower
Joe
gas
Biden
prices.
has intentionally surrendered our energy independence.
That's wild.
There is no longer even a thought of dominance.
Which implies he knows
and
that
we are
it's
now
good, that
begging
people
for
recognize
energy
it.
help from foreign nations, many of whom find us detestable. Our southern border has been erased, and our country is being invaded by millions and millions of unknown people, many of whom are entering for a very bad and sinister reason. And you know what that reason is. We will be paying a big price for this invasion into our country for years to come. Hundreds of thousands of pounds of deadly drugs, including very lethal fentanyl, are flooding across the now open and totally porous southern border. The blood-soaked streets of our once great cities are cesspools of violent crimes, which are being watched all over the world as leadership of other countries explain that this is what America and democracy is really all about. How sad. The United States has been embarrassed, humiliated, and weakened for all to see. The disasters in Afghanistan, perhaps the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, where we lost lives, left Americans behind, and surrendered $85 billion worth of the finest military equipment anywhere in the world. And Ukraine, which would have never happened if I were your president, are something.
Said Ukraine would never happen if he was president.
And even the Democrats admit that. That's something I've seen them admit over and over again.
All the Democrats, they're always admitting it because they're like, it's good that Ukraine is
speaking
happening.
of us with scorn and laughter and derision because of those two events. But there are many more. Even just today, a missile was sent in, probably by Russia, to Poland, 50 miles into Poland. And people are going absolutely wild and crazy, and they're not happy. They are very, very angry. Now we have a president who falls asleep at global conferences. was held in contempt by the
I took the
British
walk to
Parliament
Poland.
over Afghanistan.
Little yachty.
Thanks to the words of wisdom, he said thank you to the wrong country for inviting him to a major summit on the environment of all things.
Bro, it's kind of funny that he's shitting on Biden for misstating things when he always does that.
A name
like he did that all the time during his presidency. He'd shake the wrong hands. He'd push world leaders. Like he said all that. He had all those goofs and gaffes.
2 short years ago, you cannot mention the nuclear word. It's too devastating. The Green New Deal and the environment,
N-word, as I
which
call
they say
it,
may affect us in 300 years, is all that is talked about. And yet nuclear weapons, which would destroy the world immediately, are never even discussed as a major threat. Can you imagine? They say the ocean will rise 1/8 of an inch over the next 200 to 300
I'm in
years.
Florida. It's not
But
rising.
don't worry about nuclear weapons that can take out entire countries with one shot. Something is wrong with their thinking. Under Biden and the radical Democrats, America has been mocked, derided, and brought to its knees, perhaps like never before.
It's kind of wild that he also he destroyed the denuclearization
Not
agreement.
have to be this way.
Like he
Does not
single-handedly
have to be
destroyed the
this way.
denuclearization agreement with Iran, which Iran kept following, and he still sanctioned them. Like if your goal is less nukes,
2
you
years
fuck that up.
ago, we were a great nation, and soon we will be a great nation again. The decline of America is being forced upon us by Biden and the radical left lunatics running our government right into the ground. This decline is not a fate we must accept. When given the choice, boldly, clearly, and directly, I believe the American people will overwhelmingly reject the left's platform of national ruin, and they will embrace our platform of national greatness and glory to America. Glory.
Dude, it's so good. How can you defeat this man? He just said the left is doo-doo caca and I'm all the good things. That's
1 week
like
ago,
literally,
our citizens
that's his
voted
platform.
in the
His
important
platform is
midterm elections.
all the good things.
And
They're doing the
despite
bad
a
things. I'm doing the good
ridiculously
things.
long and unnecessary period
Greatness
of waiting,
and glory.
far longer, in fact, than any third world country. Just a short time ago, the Republicans won back control of the House of Representatives. And it was with a great Trump-endorsed candidate, Congressman-elect Kevin Kiley, who is a fantastic person.
Wait,
A
what?
fantastic person.
Who, Omega Law?
And I'm very happy it was his vote that did it. But we now won back. This happened just an hour ago. Much criticism is being placed on the fact that the Republican Party should have done better. And frankly, much of this blame is correct. But the citizens of our country have not yet realized the full extent and gravity of the pain our nation is going through. And the total effect of the suffering is just starting to take hold. They don't quite feel it yet, but they will very soon. I have no doubt that by 2024,
What's he saying,
it
bro?
will sadly be much worse, and they will see much more clearly what happened and what is happening to our country, and the voting will be much different. 2024.
We're not letting Democrats vote ever again, believe me, folks. What, is he threatening the country is going to be worse? Like,
Are you getting ready? And I am too. I am too. I do want to point out that in the midterms, my endorsement success rate was 232 wins and only 22 losses. You don't hear that from the media. And this is an elegant night and an elegant place, and I'm not going to use the term fake news media.
but he is. But he is,
But
though.
we're going to keep it very elegant. But you don't hear that from the media.
Oh, how
I
elegant
think
it
you
is.
will, because people are starting to see what happened. That's some score. And in the primaries was 98.6%. but they were still trying to blame me. And the reason for the success and that unprecedented success rate is that the Trump administration changed our nation on trade, on securing the border. We're the strongest, safest border ever in the history of our country. On Islamic terrorism, we had practically, just about, not that I can think of, no Islamic attacks, terrorist attacks during the Trump administration.
What?
And in fact, we got along very well with the various countries.
Have there been Islamic attacks now? Wait, what?
Including coming up with the Abraham Accords. That's a great thing, the Abraham.
Motherfucker said, my bear spray, my elephant spray is so good. No elephant attacks in the cities.
And on building the greatest economy, any time in the history of the world, there's never been an economy like we had just 2 years ago. Despite the outcome in the Senate, we cannot lose hope. And we must all work very hard for a gentleman and a great person named Herschel Walker, a fabulous human being who loves our country and will be a great United States Senator. Herschel Walker, get out and vote for Herschel, and he deserves it. He was an incredible athlete.
Fabulous.
He'll be an even better senator. Get out and vote for Herschel
Henfella,
Walker.
thank you for the 5 gifted,
Henfella. We elected a group
Henfella.
of incredibly talented America First leaders who will be stars of our party for many years.
Does like anti-Islamic sentiment
In the popular
still
vote,
hit?
another thing that's not discussed for the House, we must remember that Republicans won 5 million more votes, the largest margin in many, many years, over the Democrats. 5 million more votes, that's a big thing. Breaking the radical Democrats' grip on Congress was crucial. So in other words, because of our great congressmen and all of our great congressmen and congresswomen, we have taken over Congress. Nancy Pelosi has been fired. Isn't that nice?
You're fired, Nancy. Oh.
I told them, I said, if you just keep a little bit lower standard, you're going to have a big victory. They said, let's win by 40 seats. Let's win by 50. I said, if you win by 2 seats, be happy. But she's on her way to another country right now. She's been fired. But we always have known that
the big hat is on the big guy.
This was not the end. It was only the beginning of our fight to rescue the American dream. And it's a word you don't use. 2 words. I don't want to be Joe. It's 2 words. American dream. That was not good what he did.
Italian Santa.
A lot of bad things, like going to Idaho and saying, welcome to the state of Florida. I really love it. In order to make America great and glorious again, I am tonight announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
It's happening, brother. It's happening. Say Paul Pelosi's gay. He did it. Aisha Esquire, thank you for the 10 gifted subs. Sivoya, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Henfella, thank you for the 5 gifted.
Thank you, kids. Thank you. All of you. Thank you.
What?
Thank you.
Churros?
So many incredible friends and family here tonight. It's such a beautiful thing. Some people say, how do you speak before so many people all the time? When there's love in the room, it's really easy, if you want to know the truth. It really is. You ought to try it sometime. Together we will be taking on the most corrupt forces and entrenched interests imaginable. Our country is in a horrible state. We're in grave trouble. This is not a task for a politician or a conventional candidate. This is a task for a great movement that embodies the courage, confidence, and the spirit.
Low-key, Trump supporters have done more domestic terrorism than Muslims have, like by a wide margin.
For tens of millions of proud people working together from all across the land and from all walks of life, young and old, black and white.
I think there was like one
Hispanic
attack
and
that they
Asian,
declared was
many of whom
Islamist
we have brought together
under Trump
for
in
the
New
very,
York,
very
and that
first
was it.
time. If you look at the numbers, if you look at what's happened with Hispanic, with African American, with Asian, And just look at what's happening.
You're the one wearing the hat. It's not ironic or funny.
That has become much bigger, much
yes,
stronger, much more powerful, can do much more good for our country. This is a job for grandmothers and construction workers, firefighters, builders, teachers, doctors, and farmers who cannot stay quiet any longer. You can't stay quiet any longer. You're angry about what's happening to our country. Our country is being destroyed.
Have you considered that, yes, it is owned?
It's a job for every aspiring young person and every hard-working parent, for every entrepreneur and underappreciated police officer who is ready to shout for safety in America. The police
yes, the police, they're so owned, folks.
These are great people. They can straighten out the
crime. They're spitting on their faces.
We have to give them back their respect and their dignity.
The respect is stopping them from fighting crime.
This will not be my campaign. This will be our campaign all together. Because the only force strong enough to defeat the massive corruption we are up against is you, the American people. It's true. The American people, the greatest people on earth. We love them all.
So I take it you're voting for Trump in 2024?
We're going to bring people together.
Of course.
We're going to unify
illegally,
people.
too.
And it was happening in the previous administration, previous to the previous. And what was bringing them together was success.
I need to hear more DeSantis mentions.
The people were calling me, that were calling me. You wouldn't believe it. People that were so far left, I figured they'd never speak to me and I would never speak to them. But our success was so incredible, like never before. And then COVID started coming in from China. We call it the China virus.
China.
Some people call it other things. But it was devastating, and we built it back and did an incredible job. But when people say Republicans or Democrats or liberals or conservatives, I say we can all get together. And we were doing that. That was happening just prior, because the success was greater than this country has ever had. We were leapfrogging China and leapfrogging everybody else, and everybody wanted a piece of it.
Wonder how many people actually just joined chat.
But
and think
just
you're a
as I
Trumper?
promised in 2016, I am your voice. I am your voice.
See, he knows what notes to hit. That's a note. That's a bar.
The Washington establishment
He's right.
wants to silence us, but
That's
we will
what hits.
not let them do that. What we have built together over the past 6 years is the greatest movement in history, because it is not about politics. It's about our love for this great country, America, and we're not going to let it fail. I am running because I believe the world has not yet seen the true glory of what this nation can be. We have not reached that pinnacle, believe it or not. In fact, we can go very far. We're going to have to
I'm going to keep it real.
The
The whole, the nation hasn't felt the pain yet. That's not a good line, though.
Nobody imagined for any country. It's called the United States of America, and it's an incredible place.
He's like, oh, the people don't know how bad it is yet. That's not a good bar.
To endure what has taken place in Washington, D.C. This is our country, our government, and the corridors of power, they're our corridors. They're not their corridors. These are our corridors. And we are coming to take those corridors back.
What? What?
So from now until Election Day in 2024, which will come very quickly,
What's he saying?
Look at how time flies. Look how fast it's all going. I will fight like no one has ever fought before. We will defeat the radical left Democrats that are
our big, beautiful
trying to
Carters.
destroy our country from within, and likewise protect us all. We want to protect us. We have to be protected from all of those nations out there that are looking to destroy us from beyond our shores. There are lots of nations that hate us gravely. And that's the problem. When they look at us in disarray like we are right now, when we go to them begging for oil and we have more liquid gold under our feet than they have or any other nation has, and we don't use it because we're going to them, it's crazy what's happening. We can't let it continue. Joe Biden is the face of
Like,
left-wing
this is such a
failure
funny
and
lie
Washington
because, like,
corruption. He had a big G20 dinner tonight.
there are already
Everybody flew
untapped
over to
wells
wherever they flew
that
over, and guess
the
what?
oil
He
and
never
gas
showed up.
industry
They're
in the
still
United States of
looking
America
for him. What's
refuse to
going on?
use because it's better for their profit
G20,
margin
I used to love that. The
with the
leaders, they used to
prices.
make deals
CNN
for our
has
country like
cut
you
away
wouldn't
from the Trump
believe. It was
speech
one,
because they're
give me the
afraid.
next one, give me the next one. And we got them to stop taking advantage of our country. Every nation took advantage of our country. We renegotiated deals with Mexico and Canada, USMCA. We got rid of the worst trade deal ever made. Ever made, NAFTA, the worst trade deal ever made. That's why the farmers love Trump, because we did a great job, but manufacturers also. And we did a deal, we restructured our terrible deal with Japan, and I did it with Prime Minister Abe, a great man who unfortunately is so sad.
HasanAbi!
He was a great friend of mine, but a great man, loved his country so much, but we restructured and made it a really terrific deal, and with South Korea and so many other countries. And the best of all was what we did to China. We made an incredible deal, but after COVID, I don't even bother talking about it because the
What do neoliberals think about that? Because they love Shinzo, and so does Trump.
Bear. I will ensure that Joe Biden does not receive 4 more years in 2020.
Joe Biden killed Shinzo Abe with a hikikomori attack. That's what they're saying, folks.
And I say that not in laughter. I say that in tears. Our country could not take 4 more years. It can only take so much. It's all very fragile to start off with. It can only take so much.
Otakus and weebs are banned.
In 2020, I received the largest number of votes of any sitting president in history by a lot. And we will do it again, except for
Joe Biden, who beat him. Oh, that's such a funny line.
Many have noted that huge gains we have made with Latino voters, and I believe we will set even greater records with this crucial vote in 2024. The Hispanic voter, the Latino voter has been unbelievable. Great people, very entrepreneurial people, and they want security. And everyone thought when I did the wall, I built the wall, and they thought, oh, that would hurt me with the Hispanic vote. No. It helped me because they understood. They wanted safety. They wanted security. And they understood the border better than anybody else. So they were amazed that we started that trend, and now we're continuing with that trend. You look at what we've done in Florida, what everybody's doing now in Florida and Texas, along the border in Texas, won every single community. I won every single community. Governor of Texas called. Great gentleman, just got reelected. And he said to me, I'd like to talk to you for a second. Well, he said, you've done something that nobody else has done.
They're attacking
every single area along the
They're attacking the audio, folks. China.
Since Reconstruction. I said, Reconstruction. I guess you call that the Civil War? That's what I call it. That's what I call it. Governor Abbott, very good man, and he's working hard, but it's horrible because what's happening is they're just sending hundreds of thousands of people right through his state.
That's what everybody calls it. What is he saying?
Right through all of the states. What's happening is they're coming up all of the states. And we can't have it anymore. This campaign will be about issues, vision, and success, and we will not stop. We will not quit until we've achieved the highest goals and made our country greater than it has ever been before, and we can do that. We can do it. Our victory will be built upon big ideas, bold ambitions, and daring dreams for America's future. We need daring dreams. It is not enough merely to complain or oppose. We don't want to be critics.
Like, what do Republicans dream about? Like, just melting every Mexican in the southern border or something? Like, what are their dreams?
They can't do it themselves. We
will make this country tax-free.
With every measure of our strength, and with every ounce of our energy to lift up the working men and working women of America.
I will not stop until asbestos
of this nation
is in our drinkable water.
Have embraced an extreme ideology of government domination and control. Our approach is the opposite, one based on freedom, values, individual responsibility, and just plain
I guess Biden is not taking the fucking walk to Poland, you know what I'm saying? Boys.
In 2 years, the Biden administration
Sorry to all the NATO libs in the chat.
The U.S. economy just destroyed it. With victory, we will again build the greatest economy ever. It will take place quickly. We will build the greatest economy ever. And if you remember, I did it twice. I did it before COVID and then handed off something where the stock market was higher than just prior to COVID coming in. And we did it twice, and we will do it again, but this time we'll do it bigger, stronger, better than anybody can even imagine. And one of the beautiful things of the pause, if there is such a thing as a beautiful thing, but one of the important factors of the pause is that we see how bad they've done. So we will be able to do it properly, and it will be much easier. Everybody will agree with us because everybody sees what a bad job has been done during this 2-year period.
What's the pause? Oh, he's calling the period where Biden is in president?
Everybody sees that. It will be much easier for us to do what has to be done. We will immediately tackle inflation and bring down to a level that it was. You know, we were at 0, but actually the best number is 1%. Do you know that? You don't want it really 0. But we were at 0. We actually got it to exactly 1%, the perfect number. One thing every economist agrees, don't have it 0, have it like at 1%. They even say 1 to 2, but I said, let's do 1. And we had it at 1%, and we had it there for a long period of time, and we had the value of the dollar. We had it so that this country could make a lot of money. And I fought other countries where they devalued their dollar, or they devalued their currency, whether it was the pound or whether it was the yuan or the yen. And I used to fight like cats and dogs with the leaders of other countries because they were stealing from us. When they did that, they had artificial devaluations of their currency. It's a very important thing. I haven't even heard it mentioned in 2 years. That's a very important thing. It's very hard for us to compete when they do that artificially. And they had to pay a big price when they did it. And they never really did it for very long. I said, we're not going to do business with you anymore as a country. And they believed me. And they let it go back up. Instead of putting America last, as the Biden administration has done very, very openly and bravely, because I can't imagine saying, let's put America last. I think it takes courage. We will again put America first.
We will put 20,000 additional debt on college students on their student loans. Now they will have to pay 40 grand back to the government, believe me.
Here. I didn't need this. I had a very nice, easy life.
He said he already is running. Yes, he announced.
Something I didn't need, and a lot of you people don't need either. But we love our country, and we have to take care of our country. We have to save our country. Every policy must be geared toward that which supports the American worker, the American family, and businesses, both large and small, and allows our country to compete with other nations on a very level playing field, which we never had until I came along and the Trump administration came along. And now we're losing it. They're moving back into China. They're moving back into these other countries. It's horrible. That means low taxes, low regulations, and fair trade, much of which I've already completed, but now will even greatly enhance. Other countries should pay for the privilege of coming into the American marketplace. They have to pay to come into our country and make all of that money, take it away from us. And thanks to the Trump administration, still the best Trump administration, and the biggest country in the world is what we have. We have the best and the biggest. If you remember, for many years, you can look in your projection books, China was going to take over from us as the largest economy in the world in 2018 or 2019. I said, I don't like that timing. And I was with President Xi, who's now president for life. I call him king. He said, no, I'm not the king. I said, yes, you are the king. You're president for life. It's the same thing. But I said, President, you can't do these things. You can't. Remember, they had China 25. That means China was going to take over virtually the whole world economy by 25. I said, that's not a nice sign. I don't want that sign. They took it down. They took down the whole slogan. Probably will be coming back at some point in the near future. But I found it very insulting. I said, I find that very insulting. On day one, we will end Joe Biden's war on American energy.
I call him Xi Jinping.
And you will see, when that happens, you will see energy costs come down. And because energy is so big and so important, you will see inflation dropping. You will see it come down. It's a thing of beauty. And you wouldn't think it's that complicated. Now, what has been complicated a little bit is what's happened to so many other things. I believe originally started by this energy disaster. We were $1.87 a gallon for gasoline, and now it's hitting $5, $6, $7, and even $8, and it's going to go really bad. The socialist disaster known as the Green New Deal, which is destroying our country, and the many crippling regulations
it definitely happened already.
Spawned, will be immediately terminated so that our country can again breathe and grow and thrive like it should.
It's crazy that it happened.
Very, very much hurting our country. Germany tried it, Germany tried it. They were up for about a year. Remember Angela? Do you remember Angela? Nobody's remembering her now. Angela Merkel, I sent her a white flag of surrender. She said, but why do you send this to me, Donald? I said, Angela, I sent it to you because
remember Angela? Nobody remembers her?
Of your energy from Russia. And when that happens, history has proven that it's not good for Germany. Just take a look over the last 150 years. It hasn't been good. What I didn't know would take place so fast. And Germany closed, as you know, all of its coal-powered plants and its nuclear plants. They closed everything, and now they're building coal plants, and they're building them fast. And China's building a coal plant every week. Every week they open up another, and then they talk about all of the things that they do environmentally. They're watching us die with the Green New Deal, with our windmills and with our solar that doesn't have the power to fire up our great factories and our great plants. They are watching us die, and they're laughing as it happens. Remember, economic security is
Going to the Chelsea, you're the only broadcast not afraid to cut away. That's right, brother. We're brave here.
Economic security.
We're courageous.
That is why we will launch an all-out campaign to eliminate America's dependence on China. We will bring our supply chains, which are a disaster right now. You can't get anything, and good luck getting a turkey for Thanksgiving. Number one, you won't get it, and if you do, you're going to pay 3 to 4 times more than you paid last year. But we will bring our supply chains and manufacturing base back
turkey
home,
prices, folks,
as we were strongly doing during the Trump administration, and we will systematically bring back wealth, health, and success to the American middle class and to America itself.
He said there's no turkeys.
Please.
The thing about Donald Trump is that if he lies about shit like that, no one gives a fuck.
Please sit down. I feel so guilty having you stand.
He likes it.
Now, you've been standing for the whole...
I know Fox cut away. It doesn't matter.
Event.
They're pussies.
I feel very guilty.
Trump just sent me a text message.
To every worker and family struggling to survive in the Biden economy with inflation destroying your family
Trump just
and your
sent me a
life,
text message.
This campaign will be for you. Help
Announcing
is on
that
the
he's
way.
running for
Joe
president.
Biden has abolished America's borders. We are going to restore and secure America's borders just like we had them before, best ever. We built the wall, and now we will add to it. Now, we built the wall, we completed the wall, and then we said, let's do more, and we did a lot more. And as we were doing it, we had an election that came up, and when they came in, they had 3 more weeks to complete the additions to the wall, which would have been great, and they said, no, we're not going to do that. And that's when I realized that they actually want to have this disaster known as open borders. Hard to believe, isn't it? But one of the reasons we had so much success at the border was because of the fact that 2 things. We got Mexico to give us free of charge 28,000 soldiers. That helps. And President of Mexico is a great gentleman, by the way. Socialist, but that's okay. You can't have everything. But he's a great man and a great friend of mine. But 28,000 soldiers while we were building the wall. And then when the wall was finished, that's how we set all these records. We have records that nobody can even compete with. Right now, it's a disaster. I believe it's 10 million people coming in, not 3 or 4 million people. They're pouring into our country. We have no idea who they are and where they come from. We have no idea what's happening to our country. We're being poisoned. Within moments of my inauguration, catch and release will be gone forever. Remain in Mexico. Remain in Mexico, which was so important. Everybody came in here, they remained here, and they never left. And you couldn't get them, you couldn't find them. I had a policy, remain in Mexico. And if you think it was easy for me to get the president of Mexico to agree to that, it wasn't. But we got it. And they terminated it, can you believe? So now they come in here, they stay, and we have no idea where they are. They get lost. And it's very dangerous for our country. And again, I'll say, we're going to pay a big price someday for what they're doing. We will begin the process of safely.
All right, you've been listening into former President Donald Trump there, making it official, announcing that he will run for president in 2024. We have another kind of vantage point in the room there. You can see.
Bro, I don't want to hear the Fox guy. What the fuck? What is the chat saying? Oh, it's disabled. All right, someone give me the actual thing.
This is what's happening right now.
Bro, I don't care about this fucking goober, dog. They're censoring him. Someone give me a link. Someone give me a link. Quick, quick, quick. They're censoring our big, beautiful boy.